Hey friends, it's Carol, Saltbox Stitcher. I'm back for another video, number 19. Today is Saturday, February 8th, and it's my nephew's birthday, so happy birthday, Joey. I know you don't watch these, but happy birthday. Um, I have so much to show you, and I'm in a little bit, well, a totally different place in my house. So, um, this is my Blackbird wall, and I am in my sewing room. So this is just the fourth bedroom in our house. It's a really small, maybe 10 by 10 bedroom. And one whole wall that I'm facing is floor to ceiling shelves for fabric for quilting fabric. So that I've collected over the years. But anyway, it's really tight in here, and my husband and I he worked probably an hour this morning trying to get the lighting decent, because I have a window over here. I have my cutting table kind of on front of me to the side, so there's lights there. So I'm sorry if I come across as being a little bit, as my mom used to say, peaked, a little yellow. I probably won't video here again or very often because it's just too tight, especially with all that I want to show you. So anyway, most of the ones I'm sitting in front of, these are Blackbird Loose Feathers, which I have been a part of that club since it started in 2001, 2, I don't know, something around there. I think. I could be totally off. But I used to get automatic shipments. They came out, I don't know if they came out monthly or 4 times a year. But anyway, I used to get monthly shipments from a store in Missouri called the Old Mill Stitchery. And I would get the fabric and the floss. And so the ones that I haven't stitched, I still have kitted. A lot of them call for 30 count linen, which requires 2 strands. So I haven't really dove into a lot of those. But I think, let me point, this one, which a lot of people have said kind of looks like a Mary Englebright. No, it's this one that looks like Mary Englebright. But this one, that one is the first, the one on the top, second one. And I don't remember the names of them. I know that that one on the top is the one that's kind of sought after. That's the fall, spring, and summer, fall, winter. Anyway, it's 3 seasons. I'm sorry. I stitched all of these with the exception of the one with the green frame here. I don't know why I even try. Why do you try, Carol? This one, my sister stitched that for a gift for me. So anyway, that's all Blackbird. And I have more Blackbird, but these are the ones I could fit on this wall. And I generally put my little portable ironing board setup underneath it, so I don't really want to go all the way to the floor with it. So anyway, that's where I'm filming. And so I was going to say filming from, but you know how that is. You're not supposed to end with a preposition. But anyway, so let's get right to it. This is video number 19. This is a video about cross stitch. It's been a month since I've been here, or a little more. And the first thing I want to do before I forget, I have notes, but I kind of threw stuff together, and there's some stuff I couldn't find. Okay. In some areas of my life, I am not scatterbrained. I am not, I can just like deal with stuff. But somehow when it comes to stash, I keep putting stuff in different places. I think, okay, I'll make a basket of all the things I want to stitch. And then I keep adding to it. And then I think, okay, I'm going to pull out of that basket stuff I really, really want to stitch. And so then I pull stuff out. Now I have 2 baskets. And it keeps going on. And pretty soon I have 4 baskets. And it's like, okay, I need to rearrange all this or reevaluate, I guess. I don't know. Or I add to it from new things that I get. So anyway, there's a couple things I couldn't find. But I'm going to start out. Oh, this is going to be a wild one. The winner for the Blackbird design pattern, Bells on Christmas Day, which I offered as a giveaway because I have the book now, and that was originally the pattern. And if you go to my last video, you can see where I stitched it. I haven't gotten it framed yet. Not sure if I will frame it. I don't know. I may just like make a stand up or something because it's not huge. Anyway, the winner is Rose Heck, Heck, Rose Heck. You won. If you'll contact me, either Facebook message or give me a comment where I can contact you, just so I can get your pattern to you. And I apologize to the people I sent things to last month. It took me a while to get around to get out to the post office and actually get those things mailed, but they finally were mailed. So anyway, Rose's comment on her favorite Blackbird was the Garden Club series. And that actually was one of the things I was looking for, because the garden series, and most of you, if you're not familiar, just Google it. I think it's on the other side of where I'm sitting, and I can't get to that. But anyway, I pulled all the patterns. The first two I had actually stitched because the original design was set up where you used, I can't remember if there's 9 or 12, but anyway, you used a different linen and then you stitch your linens together so that when you framed it, you had this, piece that had multiple different linens, and it was a nice contrast. But Nicole from Nicole's Needlework, she did hers on one piece. I think she used Buttercream by Lakeside Linen, but I'm not sure. And the original designs were to be like, I think on 32 count with 2 strands. So the fact that I stitched the first 2, I'm going to make those into little pin pillows, and I'm going to restitch it on one piece using all the patterns on the same fabric. And I picked a piece of Lakeside. I think it was also Buttercream 40 count. So I'll try to show that next time. I doubt that I'll start that before next time. So I'll find it. See, this is my problem. Somebody recently, I think it was one of the gals at Country Sampler, she said, well, you're in the state of S.A.B.L.E. And I said, oh, I'm not familiar with that. What is S.A.B.L.E? She said, S.A.B.L.E, S-A.B.L.E, Stash Acquisition Beyond Life Expectancy. Guilty. Okay, I'm there. So anyway, once I get on the other side of this table and I'm able to pull it out, I'll set it aside. So next time on my next video, which will probably be in a month, I don't know. I always say I'm going to try to come back. So enough of all that talking. So Rose, get a hold of me. And one of my favorite Blackbirds, since we talked about the garden series, is the Anniversaries of the Heart. And I know a lot of people are stitching this. I originally did this one piece. I don't know if you can see it. And it's been languishing in my pile because I wasn't sure, each chart is kind of designated for a specific month. This is done on either 30 or 32. I think it's Old Town Blend. I'm not 100% sure, but I think it's Old Town Blend by R&R Reproductions. And I use 2 strands, and I just need to do the over one. And then you get into, okay, who are my favorite people that I can narrow down to put on this? And then I kept coming up with like, okay, I have 2 people for July, but none for August. So then I thought, well, do I necessarily have to have somebody for every month? And anyway, I just, because of all that thinking, I put it aside. But now I have somebody, 1 or 2 people for every month. So I just need to go back, and I got out the charts, and I just need to go back and stitch the over one. I may just do initials. I may do initials and dates, like a birthday. Actually, I only need to do 11 because I did my husband's in October. That's his birthday month. So anyway, I need to do that. I need to just set aside a time to do that. But something else is always calling me, and I just haven't. Over one is not something I run to and go, oh gosh, tonight I'm stitching over one. Yoo-hoo! Doesn't happen. So, as most of you know, my name is Carol. And it seems like for as long as I can remember. Not every person, but a lot of people say Carol with an E, meaning an E at the end. And I say no E. So I guess I've said that enough that when I did this recent sampler that I posted on Instagram, I forgot to put in the E in the alphabet. I've had this folded to show you. So I need to pick out the A, B, C, D, add the E, and then this will be finished and I can send it to be framed. This is Red House Sampler by the Sampler Company, Brenda Keys. I've had this chart for quite a while. My sister lives in not too far a drive from Silver Needle in Tulsa, and we went there a few years back, and they have quite a few of Brenda Keys things framed, and this one just, there's a couple of them that just really, stood out to me, so I thought, oh, I'm going to collect that. So it was originally in the pattern stitched on Rustico, which is, I think, similar to Ada, but I picked a 40 count linen, and this is Buttercream by Lakeside. It has a little bit of a yellowy tint. I stitched this in January. I started January 1st, finished it February 1st. I did do other stitching during the month, but this was my January finish. Technically, I have to go back and add the E, so technically it's not finished, but it's close enough. So anyway, no E. Red House Sampler, no E. So the other thing I didn't do on it, because I wasn't sure how I wanted to sign it, it's not a reproduction. So she has the date in Roman numerals. I don't really want to do that. So I just need to put a date, 2020, and my initials on it to sign it. So I need to do that and the E, and then I'll be done. So what else did I stitch since I last talked to you, which is, I think I'm a little late for a month. I think a month was up this past week, but if you knew what I went through this morning, you'd understand why I only do once a month. And of course my nose itches. So anyway, I have a lot of stuff piled up here. I hope I don't get too disjointed, but just wanted to show you what else I stitched on. I kind of decided, since I have about 14 sampler whips, and I showed those to you last time. Remember, I said if I had to stand in front of a judge, I could not explain why some of these aren't finished, but no judges yet. So anyway, so I decided if I dedicate weekends for whips, that means Saturday and Sunday stitching, which, could be, I don't know how a lot of you are that work, but I don't work outside the home, but I do have my quilting business. I've mentioned it many times, so I'm not going to bore you with that. But I try to concentrate on quilting during the week, during the day, and then I stitch at night. And, a lot of comments when I posted that Red House Sampler were like, how do you stitch so fast? Da, 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 da. I don't know that I stitch fast. I just stitch a lot. I stitch 5 to 6 hours every evening. So, you can get a lot done in a week doing 5 or 6 hours versus somebody that stitches maybe 3 or 4 hours on the weekend and that's it, So that's why I think I get a lot done. So anyway, weekends are for whips. So Linda Jo, you can tell your husband there's another one. Weekends are made for whips. Another acronym. So I didn't do it the first weekend in January, but I decided the second weekend that I was going to start doing that. And so, so each weekend, and I don't know, I'd have to look at my calendar to tell you which one I did when. Which, by the way, I know everybody loves fancy project bags, and I have some. I've bought some. I've made some. But Nicole from Nicole's Needleworks, she mentioned that you can get these. They're $2.99. They're the medium size on the Container Store. And if you order enough of them, you get free shipping. So I had a friend. I said, "You want a dozen?" And I want a dozen. And I've already used up my dozen. I could probably use another dozen for projects that are kitted or ready to go. So anyway, I decided to work on Miss Manners. Miss Manners by GGR was one of my whips, and I had barely started it. Barely started it. And I actually told someone I was doing this on 40 count. I'm not sure what linen this is, but I think it's 36. This is more I stitched on it. I thought, this is 36. So this is what I got done. It's not huge. So I'm into that basket. Let me see if I can. Let me see. Get a little closer here. I have coffee. And I really like this basket. There's some kind of really pretty colors in here. Is that better? And I'm doing it with the silks that just fell on the floor. I swear I'm part monkey. I can pick stuff up with my toes easier than with my hands. Nothing against monkeys. Don't write me a letter that says, "I have a pet monkey. You made fun of monkeys." Anyway, these are the silks. So this red is pomegranate. And this green, that's one of the predominant greens, pomegranate by Gloriana, is Olive Grove. So very, very pretty. So I'm excited. So I did 2 days on that one, and I literally barely had started it. I think I had just a little bit of one flower done. So the other thing, now this wasn't a whip, but this was something, this was a Before I Die project. So I decided, bite the bullet and start His Eyes on the Sparrow. And this one, I picked Heartland, 36 count Heartland. So this is going to be ginormous by Picture This Plus. And I really like the tone on this. I think it calls for either Country Mocha or Doubloon. I can't remember. And this is how far I got. So I got, any minute, everything in the whole world's going to come crashing down on me. Yeah, Carol did a good video, but man, she was like totally disorganized. I can hear it now. This is where I am. So this is halfway mark on the top, and this is halfway mark on the side. So technically I have the border 1/4 of the way done. And then I started on that little peacock, or I finished the peacock. And I'm doing this with the called for overdyed cottons. Oh, by the way, on Red House Sampler, I use DMC. With the exception of the red, I use Lancaster Red by Weeks. So this is the called for overdyes for His Eyes on the Sparrow. Some of them I might need multiples. I don't know, because this is so big. So I'm excited about that. That's a Before I Die project. But it wasn't a whip. It was something I went ahead and started because I wanted to make it a whip. So anyway. Let's see, what else did I work on? Oh, I have stuff all over the place here. Oh, here's the Bells on Christmas Day that I'm going to give away to Rose. The other whip I worked on was Merrily, Merrily We Welcome Spring by Blackbird. And I had the border finished, not finished, but the outline of the border done. And I think I was on the top red alphabet on that one. And I worked on it for a weekend. Actually, I worked on it for a Saturday, Sunday, Monday. And so I got a couple alphabets done. And I really don't mind doing alphabets, but when you do about 6 of them in a row, it's kind of like, I'm ready to move along here. And this one I'm also using the called for over dies. That bottom alphabet is Blue Corn by Classic Colorworks. I love that color. So that was a whip that I worked on for a weekend. And then the other whip. Okay, so there were 3 whips I worked on weekend, plus the eyes on the sparrow. This is another blackbird. This is Maria Selby Humphrey. I'm not sure when this came out. This is the antique. They did not stitch. They charted the reproduction, but didn't stitch it. So this is the antique. And I can't remember exactly how much I had done of this. But there again, I was working on alphabets. And the top border, I filled in a lot of those little motifs. I still have more to do on the top border. But this one, I love the colors. I seem to be doing quite a few that are kind of the browns and greens and tans with a little bit of blue. So this is what I've done since I last did a video. And then I was really conflicted after I finished Red House. It was kind of like, okay, what do I really... And then I worked on... I finished that on a Saturday, the 1st of February. And then I worked on Merrily, Merrily over that weekend. And then I was like, what do I want to start? You know, and I started going through projects and I was, you know, I want to do this one, but I'm not ready to start that. And I don't know if you ever go through those times where you're just like, nothing seems to really click. So one of the things that I've always wanted to stitch was Sweet Temper by Shakespeare's Peddler. I love this. It's not a reproduction. Looks like a reproduction. It says, let your temper be as sweet as the daisies at your feet. Be as gentle, be as mild as a modest, humble child. I love that design. So I decided to start that. And I got all the way around on the border, only to realize that the bottom was supposed to be satin stitched instead of cross stitched. So I got a little frustrated because I was like, okay, do I pull that out? Because there's like 3 or 4 rows of satin stitch, different colors. And if I have anything that goes all the way across and it's a long distance where I'd have to count it, I sometimes, if it's 2 rows of the same color, what I'll do is I'll stitch, and on the 10th one, I'll do a full cross on the one above it. So in other words, that's how I count. So I would start here, and the first row, I think it was like something, you know, 104, let's say. So the first one I do 4, and then I do a full cross, and then this one is 10, and then 10, and then 10. That way you can just zoom right along. Now some people do an open stitch where they only do half of the stitch. I can't do that. Somehow my stitches look different when I do that. And Sweet Temper calls for quite a few different, I'm pretty sure this is there's a little bit of red, mostly again browns, tans, greens, some NPI, some Gloriana, some Versois. Kind of has a, you can see it better there. It's got different, it's silks, but it's different kinds of silks. So that's gone to the whip pile. And then I thought, okay, what do I do? I'm crossing off here what I've told you about. Then I thought, okay, what do I want to stitch next? And really kind of get into it. So I went to my mini basket of my S.A.B.L.E stash, acquisition beyond life expectancy. And I thought, what do I really want to stitch? So I started pulling things, and I just wanted something kind of different. So, and I got out something to show you, and I don't know where it went. Oh, shoot. Oh, here it is. Pause. I've always loved this one. It's not properly framed. I just stuck it in a frame. This is, I think it's called Think of Me. It's old, by Handwork Primitives. This was one of, and this is stitched on a piece of 40 count Sparrow, which is not even available anymore. And when I did this, is one I did this a long time ago. I finished it not that long ago, maybe in the last 10 years I finished it, but I probably finished it in the last 5 years. But when I was stitching on it is when my eyes started to go south. I've never worn glasses, but when I hit my early 40s, mid 40s, I started to need readers. But I wasn't ready to stitch with readers, so I kept trying to see it, and I really struggled. And I put it away for a long time. And then when I got it out, I was like, I need to finish this. I actually love this. It's really different. Primitive, but the colors, when you add that yellow, it just, and that, this green, it just really, and I think it was overdyes. It could have been DMC. I can't really remember. But anyway, when I finished it, I was surprised that my stitching was as good, because I thought, oh, I'm going to be so off on this because I can't see it really well. But I was okay. I didn't have to rip anything, and I went ahead and finished it. And it was this Argyle-like border that really was hard for me to see. So anyway, I've always loved that. It hangs up in my house. I'm going to have myself trapped here. And when I was looking for something to stitch, I thought, well, I love that. So when I was at the attic last summer, I saw the model of the 7 sheep sampler up on the wall at the attic. And that's Tanya's model because it's the Scarlet House. And I had collected the silks for it, but I never was happy with the linen I had. And Tanya was at the attic with a bunch of us, and she said, well, let's go find you the linen for it. Here's the silk colors. It's very different. You have this pink, which is a dinky dye. You have this kind of brightish green, and then there's another green over here. It's just different. It's not reds, and this color is actually a peach. So if you go too light, these colors aren't going to show up on your linen. If you go too dark, You know, these will. So I was like, different. But she helped me pick out what the model was stitched with. And this is a piece of, now I just started this the other night. Wednesday night, Thursday night, Friday night. I've stitched on it 3 nights. No, the first night I stitched on it for half an hour because I started at midnight. I know some of you are like, how do you do that? I just do it. I don't know. And then I stitched the next couple days. So this is a piece of 46 count Autumn Gold by Lakeside Linens. This is a double dyed fabric. Can you see it? It has portions of it that are kind of mustardy, but this pink, let me fold it this way. Here's the pattern. 7 Sheep by Scarlet House. And it actually says that it was stitched on 40 count double dyed, not 46, using a mixture of silks. So I bought all the silks, and I've had those for a couple years. But and see, you can see these words. Let me take it out of the package. Crinkle, crinkle, crinkle. Sorry. See the words? Some of them are in pink. Flower pots are pink. I'm not generally a pink person, contrary to my granddaughter's insisting that I need to do everything in pink. It has this, they're not Adam and Eve, they're more like a man and a lady, kind of dressed to the nines. And then, obviously, it has 7 sheep. So this one is so different that I thought, you know what? I'm gonna start that. So here at midnight, the other night, I start a piece on 46 count. It's like, what are you, nuts? I'm really not having trouble seeing it. Now, I wear 4.0 magnifying readers. I don't use a magnifier. In other words, I don't look through it. But I have the light that's like right at, and I hold it fairly close to me. But this is where I am on this one. And the color that kind of was like, oh, was this, where is it? It's kind of a goldish yellow. And I thought, how in the world is that going to look with this green? But it works. It absolutely works. So, Tanya, you're just a genius. Or genius-et. Female genius. And it just, I'm really enjoying it. So this is kind of going to be my focus piece during February. I'm stitching a little slower on it. I mean, 46 count. And this double dyed is a little tiny bit stiffer than a regular linen. Or just normal Lakeside linen. But it really softens in your hands. So, anyway, that's my latest and greatest. I'm excited about that. So, it's the weekend. So, since my eyes have kind of adjusted to stitching on 46 count, I decided to get out another Scarlet House, which is, this is a whip. This is Ellen Strick, 1849. This is one I've seen the antique at Tanya's house. Now there's a lot of over 1, and I will not do a full cross. I'll do a half tent stitch. This is where I am on this. Whoops. Do you want to see it right side out? Probably. It's wrinkled. I'll give it a little press before I start stitching. But this is what I'm going to stitch on this weekend. It's not huge at all, but hello, it's on 46 count. Everything is smaller on 46 count. You know, on 28 count, this would be pretty sizable, but So the house is finished. I'm working on some of these little motifs up here. The border's finished except to finish, you know, the tops of the flowers. But I'm going to work on this all weekend since my eyes have adjusted. And this is, whoa, what is this? I believe it's the called for, so 45 count vintage sand dune. So it called for 45 count. And you know, I went to Lakeside's homepage on the web, and I think the higher counts, they actually use a different linen. I'm not 100% sure because it certainly has the orange stripe like a Zweigart, but I thought it said the 45 counts they do on a different linen. Anyway, I'm sorry I didn't press that ahead of time. I just have had it stuffed in the bag, and I thought that's what I'm going to work on this weekend. So I am over the moon excited to work on that. And for that, I'm using the Tudor silks. And these are the Tudor silks. Kind of back again to the same color range. The browns, the tans, the golds, and the little bit of blue. So, if I think about it, I generally forget, but if I think about it, I'll post on Instagram maybe Monday or so when I can see how many stitches I've done on that 45 count. Okay, so that's all I've stitched on, all I'm going to stitch on, with the exception of, I don't know, that's my plans for February. However, because I have a mountain of kitted. Now, Laura from Brenda and the Cereal Star, she's the cereal starter. I'm the cereal kidder. I am. I have so many things kitted. I wrote down that I was going to show you the top 20 things I have kitted. Let's just say these are, for now, on my immediate radar. I don't know how immediate. I might get a wild hair and decide to start one of these. But anyway, this is one that I am just dying to start. Oops, I have to show it the correct way. This is Anne Ariel by GGR. And I think I raved about this last summer. I was at Country Sampler, and they had their finished model sitting by the register, and I was like, oh my gosh, that's the most beautiful sampler. The pictures, you know, the antique pictures of the antiques just really don't do them justice. But this bag of fruit, oh my goodness, is a bag of fruit, basket of fruit is just fabulous. So this one calls for apple butter, I believe. No, I take that back. The Country Sampler conversion did it on apple butter by Dixie Sampler, which is a pretty dark brownish gray linen. And I'm going to use the overdyes. How beautiful is that? So that's definitely on my immediate radar. I've had that kitted for a little while. And after working on Miss Manners, I just love GGR's charts. I mean, they're fabulous. The other one, and I think that's 40 count apple butter by Dixie Sampler. The other one I really want to do, and if you haven't watched Stitching with Reese, she's Australian, she's cute as a button, and she is a phenomenal stitcher, and she finished this rose wreath by GGR. Absolutely to die for gorgeous. Nicole of Nicole's Needlework has started it. So I have it kitted. I kind of was conflicted on what color linen because the picture makes it look like it could be even a lighter linen, but I decided to go with this piece of 40 count parchment by Weeks that has this Weigart base, and I collected, it takes quite a few threads. It's huge though. The stitch count is 300 by 427. So it's not for the faint of heart. How pretty is that? Reese, your rose wreath is absolutely breathtaking. So she said it took her years to do. So I might just start that just because I may be working on it. Beyond life expectancy. This is another GDR, Laura, serial starter. She is Maud and Mozart on Instagram, and she shows pictures. I believe she started with this tree up here in the corner. And this is called The Lady in Red. The Lady in Red Spinning Her Wool. And Nicole, I think, has started this too. I'm not sure. But how gorgeous is that? I have not picked my linen for this yet. I actually had, I think I had this kitted from some shop, and they sent me porcelain by Lakeside, which is kind of light. But you know, everything doesn't have to be on the super dark linen. I mean, to get it to look like the picture, it's going to have to be on more of a grayish, maybe like a, oh, I don't know, Beach Brew or one of those by R&R. Not sure. But I love this. So, these are Future and Immediate Radar. Let's see. F.A.I.R. Future and I.R. Fair. Fair weather. Future and Immediate Radar. I love it. Because we got to have more acronyms, right? Okay, these are a few others that I have kitted. Let's see. I have about 8 here. 10. Whatever. So if you need to take a break, go get a cup of coffee. By the way, I'll do a timeout. Lindsay is doing very well. Now, she is in the midst of chemo, and the oral chemo, she does not seem to have, she's tired, she's not losing her hair. A lot of people think immediately chemo, you're going to lose your hair, and that's not true. There are chemos out there where you don't lose your hair. She has fatigue, but when she gets her IVs, which she does every couple weeks for a total of 4, she's kind of down and out for a week. And by that I mean she's functioning, but she's very, very sensitive to cold, so she has to put gloves on to get something out of the refrigerator. She is cold. She had a really bad rash the last time on her arm and then on her face. I think her face is a little puffy. Because along with that, she has to be on steroids when she gets that. So anyway, this is too much information. She was sitting with me, and I was talking to somebody on the phone, and I said, oh, she's just doing fabulous. She goes, I'm not fabulous, Mom. I said, yeah, but we got to be positive. You look great. So she's doing very well. Her spring break is coming up first week in March, and then I think she's going to go back to work after that because she will be done with her chemo and hopefully cured. So that's what we're praying for. I just continue to ask for your prayers because it's not over yet, and we just need those prayers. So anyway, but she's doing very well. Not fabulous, but very well. Okay, back to stitching. And by the way, thank you for everybody that stitched the LW sampler by Samplers Not Forgotten. Prayed along with the stitching. I thought that was just wonderful. This one I've had in my stash for quite a while. This one came out 2017. A lot of people have stitched this. This is the Smith sampler by the Scarlet House. I could do every one of her pieces. Tanya just is fabulous in her designs and in her reproductions. And this one I also have the Called For Silks. And I'm doing this on, let's see, what is it called for? It calls for Vintage Meadow Rue. I'm not sure this is Vintage Meadow Rue. It may be. Looks just like plain Meadow Rue to me. So that's a F.A.I.R. Future and Immediate Radar. This is one of those things I just need to start because this will take a while to do. This is the Harriet Salt, or for number 1628 by Hands Across the Sea. I'm sorry for the glare. These are in those kind of bags that, you know, kind of fold over and have the sticky. I won't comment on those kind of bags, but they do sometimes present a challenge for me. Maybe not anybody else. So Harriet Salt. Again, I'm going to be brave and use the 46 count fabric, but this one is Weeks Zweigart Straw, and I have a hank of red. So that is a plethora of, I think I actually have 2 hanks in here, but that's a plethora of stitches and alphabets. So that's one of those ones you just kind of pick up and do a little bit all the time. Should I keep going? See, I didn't really have that much to show you stitching, but I have a lot. I can always show you stuff that's not framed. That might be what I have some over there, but that may be what I show you on my next video, rather than bore with all my stash. Some of the things that I stitched, but I haven't done anything with. This is my next bag of joyful things. This is the Anne Rayner, and I am using Paulette Stewart's conversion, which is on her blog as well as on Nicole Needleworks blog. And this one I have the collection of silks and other stuff. There's even a couple DMC, I think, on this. And this one I'm going to do on 40 count vintage light exemplar. And it's sort of sister one, which it calls for Tudor silks, and I think I'm going to do it on the Tudor. I looked up, I went to Gloriana's website, and I looked up Tudor silk, and it actually said made for higher counts, such as 40 and 45. So, both of these are going to be on 40, and I'm just going to use the Tudor and see what the coverage is like. They're very similar. As you look at them, they look like twins. So, future and immediate radar. Those are my F.A.I.R reproduction samplers to do. Okay, I have some more here. This is Mary Good. Brenda Sampler Stitcher stitched this. And this one I got a kit from Sassy Jacks. And again, it's the 40 count weeks parchment on the Zweigart base with the F.A.I.R silks. I really want to start that one too. See, the bags are big. I'm not going to be ugly. And this one tore my package. Boo-hoo. Okay, the next two are Scarlet Letter ones. I love this. I thought I saw that somebody had this. Jane Atkinson, 1780, by the Scarlet Letter. Kitted with a F.A.I.R, but I'm not sure I'm going to use that linen, although it is 40 count. Sometimes I just need to venture and say, okay, this is what it's kitted with, so let's just try it. It seems kind of thin, but when you get that much stitching on a 40 count, probably be fine. The next Scarlet Letter one, I love this. I think Emily C. has this in her stash. I think that's where I first saw it. 1838, Elizabeth Masterton. I love all those motifs. I think there's a little bit of over one on this. Probably more than I want to do. No. There's some counted satin and some four-sided. Other than that, the entire piece is done in cross stitch over 2 threads. Again, a F.A.I.R, same, I think it's the same linen, 40 count. How could I not want to do that? This is another Scarlet House, Marianne Farmer. It calls for silks, and I'm kind of not sure what I want to stitch this. If you look at the picture, it's kind of a light, to me it's kind of a light grayish taupey. But I have this piece of toasted coconut. I don't know who that's by. I ordered it from Kitten Stitcher, so I'm not sure what linen company that's from. And this one calls for NPIs. I think it would be pretty on that. Or I have a piece of Bramble by Picture This Plus, which is really more true to the color in the picture. So either one, haven't decided. That's probably not as much immediate radar, just future radar. Another Scarlet House, which is, a lot of people are doing this. It's a S.A.B.L.E through Country Sampler. I think it's over as far as getting it, but I'm sure the pattern will be coming out fairly soon. Mary Miller. By Scarlet House. And that one is the called for cottons. This is part of my haul that I got recently. This is Mary Lindsay by Chessie and Me. We saw this when we were at summer camp in Wisconsin at Country Sampler. Linda, Chessie and Me, Linda was stitching on it, and a bunch of us signed up for it, and it came within the last couple month. Love it. There again, a lot of alphabets. This one I may start at the bottom. I know Nicole starts a lot. Nicole's needlework, she starts a lot of hers at the bottom. I might do that. I'm just about to an hour, so I'm going to try to go a little speedier. I actually had somebody say to me, does it have to be an hour? No, usually is. It doesn't have to be. This is another classic. A lot of people have done it. I love it, and I just need to do it. All Creatures Great and Small. This and Eye on the Sparrow, and with all those animals and kind of biblical reference, not kind of biblical reference. They just really capture my heart. And that one I have kitted with Anchor. I don't know if it calls for the Anchor, but I have it kitted with Anchor cottons. And a piece of Picture This Plus Country Mocha. And this has tons of different colors. This is really a colorful piece. And I know lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of people have stitched it, so you don't really need me to show you all the colors. It's easier to go to Instagram or Google and you can see what people have done. This is an old pattern and I've kitted it with DMC. I've seen this on, I think I saw this on Tanya's wall in Arizona when we visited her house. But this is by the Good Housewife. It's called Elizabeth Easton. It's not huge. I really, really like it. The big bird, the house. I just really, really like this. There's no over one. I have it kitted with the DMC on. I'm not sure what color this is. It's a picture. Yes, I am. It's called Murmur. 40 count Murmur by Picture This Plus, which I have never stitched with, but the color I stitched Picture This Plus many times. Back to the same theme. Browns, tans, golds, a little bit of blue and a little bit of red. I don't know if you can still get this pattern. Good Housewife. I know some of them she was reproducing and you could get on Etsy. I think that's going to be nice. It kind of has a yellowy, peachy cast, which to me is kind of what the picture on the pattern is. I have one more to show you, and then I'm going to let you go about your day. Of course, by the time this gets uploaded, it could be go to bed. Who knows? Sometimes that's a challenge. One more, and then I'm going to talk to you about the next winning thing, giveaway, I guess. I don't know if I've shown this. I don't know. This is Hannah Lancaster. Have I shown this before? Okay, this is like the stuff you put in Worcestershire, Worcester Art Museum. This is by the Porcupine Collection. I think you'd be really hard pressed to find this. I originally found it on Silent Stitches, which is a website. I've bought scissors from them, but I have no idea if they still can get it. She's a very big girl. I really was tempted to start this when I was looking for my what do I stitch next. But I won't show you the chart, but it's on this piece of paper that's like bed sheet size, which by the time you fold that enough times to stitch it, it's really damages the chart. So I need to go to Kinko's and have it copied for a working copy so that it's much easier to stitch from, with, of, at, to. I have the DMCs kitted for this. So there's some brighter reds. I've seen this on a couple people's framed on their walls. One of them is Sampler Farm, Carol Sims. I think on her Facebook page on photos, she has it somewhere. And I have a piece of Old Town Blend, but I also have a piece, no, that's what I have for that. I have a different one in here. So this is, I'm pretty sure this is Old Town Blend. It's very sampler-ish. It's a great color for samplers. And it's 40 count. So she'll be pretty big when she's done. I'll go this way. And I'll have to sell something dear to me, I guess, to get her framed. I don't know. It's not even done yet, so I'm not going to worry about how much it'll cost to frame it yet. Hannah Lancaster, Worcester sampler. And then the last thing that I have kitted, it's not the last thing I've kitted, the last thing I'm going to show you that I've kitted, is this La Di Da Elizabeth Jones sampler. I love this. I have it kitted with DMCs. And I have a piece of vintage, no, it's 40 count exemplar, not vintage, that I want to do this on. So I think that's going to be really cute. And the colors, there's some reds, greens, kind of classic sampler colors. Reds, greens, tans. So that's my plan for that. And if I can clean up all of this and get out of here, I'll be able to have my husband upload this. Okay. The last thing, no, here's one more. Oh my goodness. I forgot about this one. Oh, Joyous Day. Somebody stick either, I think just finish this. I'm sorry. I'm horrible with names, so, and I would probably know your Instagram name and not your real name. Oh, Joyous Day by Blackbird. Whoever just finished this, it's absolutely gorgeous. And this, I have a piece of Legacy, which is what it calls for, and the overdyed cottons. It's not huge, 175 by 221. I guess it's kind of medium. So that's all I have to show you. If you have any questions about any of these, I don't know. The one right above in the middle, let's see, go this way, right there. That's Birds of a Feather by Blackbird. This one is Quaker Sampler by Blackbird. I want to say this one's like Flowers of the Field or something like that. This one is Abigail. This one was not a Loose Feathers. That was a club piece from R&R. I don't know. Oh, this one is With My Needle, I think. This one, I'm sorry, go this way. Rub your stomach and pat your head. This one was a class, and then it came out, and I think it's in Lasting Friendship book. And it's got the 2 different color linens. And I did it for my mom and dad and their birth dates and wedding anniversaries. I've shown you that one before. So, okay, so the last thing that I have, oh great, now I have a random piece of DMC. Oh well. Let me say one other thing. I absolutely love these. Thank you, Needlework Press, over and over again for your book of days that you publish every year. I use this. They're not expensive. To me, I love to see a month at a time. Don't give me day, because that doesn't matter. I'd write one thing. But one of the things, since this is early in the year, that I started doing, many of the projects that I've been working on, whips and things, I actually started maybe last year, some maybe even the year before. I think everything was started last year though. But what I've started doing is writing down the days. So in other words, I go like Merrily Merrily, for example. I went to last year's calendar, went all the way through, see when I started it and how many days I worked on it. So for example, Merrily Merrily, last year I worked on 9 days. So when I started it here, I did days 10, 11, and 12 because that was a weekend, and then I kind of extended it. That way when I'm done, I can say, okay, actually Red House Sampler took me 22 days to finish it. I don't say that to brag. I'm just saying that's what I'm writing down. I probably won't get as much stitching done in February. My daughter's husband went on a 3-week deployment. So we'll be doing, especially since she has her IV chemo on Monday, and we'll probably be doing a lot of grandma and grandpa duties, taking the kids to school, picking them up. And because after she has that IV, she's kind of down for the count, which we're perfectly able to help her, so we will. So if I take the kids to school at 7 o'clock, 7:15 in the morning, I'm not going to be stitching till 1 o'clock at night because I'm too tired. So anyway, for my 5,000 subscriber giveaway, I gave away a quilt. Holly Hintzman won that. She sent me a picture. She loved it. I think she even mentioned it on their Shine Sparkle Stitch. I think it's Shine Sparkle Stitch. That's their floss tube. And Holly and Anita. And so she sent me a picture, and she also mentioned it on, and thank you, Holly. You didn't have to go. All that big deal. But anyway, so I'm almost to 6,000 subscribers, which who'd have thunk? I certainly would have never thought that I would ever get close to 6,000 subscribers. I'd be lucky to get 500, I thought. But I have another quilt to give away, and I'm going to try every increment of 1,000 subscribers. I'll give away a quilt. I have them. People seem to want to subscribe, so it just seems like a good thing to do. So the next one that I'm going to give away is this one. It's all finished. It's not, the last one I kind of made for that. This one I didn't, but this, let me see if I can show it to you. It's where you can read some of them. The fabric is like sewing. So the border is like patterns. There's one fabric that has tomato pincushion and thread. You see that? There's one fabric, it's a really simple pattern, that has alphabets, like a sampler. So even though there's buttons, there's a fabric that has buttons right there. It's all reds and blacks and tans. The backing, it's probably about, I don't know, 40 by 50. The backing is a stripe that has all those fabrics in it. You see it? So anyway, I'm going to give it away. The only thing I'll need to do is put a label on the back. So the question is, in addition to stitching, do you also sew? And if you do sew garments? Do you sew home decor? Do you sew children's clothes? Whatever. So just, that's the question. Do you sew? Besides, or maybe you just make project bags, or maybe you do pin pillows, whatever. Just do you sew? And if you do, what do you sew? So I think that's everything I have. I'm sorry the lighting is kind of goofy. we kind of recently painted this room, and I tried to, it's a little darker in person than it looks like with all these lights, but I was copying Kitten Stitcher, my BFF, because I love the dark color in her room that she videos from. So anyway, hope you have a great weekend, and I will see you probably later rather than soon. Toodles. Love you. Bye.